and a very good afternoon to everyone present here. And I'm so much pleasure to be here, and I'm very thankful to be here. And I'm humbly saying my regards and thanks to the college, Sri Ramakrishna College of Arts and Science for Women, Coimbatore, and giving this opportunity for sharing this session. And to the Cape Comorin Trust, I'm very much happy to be present here. And hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You can continue, ma'am. Yeah.
Yes, okay. So in today's session, we have 4 participants here, and first presenter is Dr. Priyanka Singh, who is an assistant professor of English, Arya Kanya Mahavidyalaya Shahabad Markanda, Kurukshetra. So her title is The Food Metaphor in the Folk Songs of Women in Haryana. So now we'll hand over the session to ma'am. You can present this paper, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for inviting me to present my paper. I'm Dr. Priyanka Singh, and I belong to Haryana, and it is one particular reason why I chose this particular topic for presentation, the food metaphor in the folk songs of women in Haryana. Since I'm talking of folk songs, so I'll be using the Haryanvi dialect when I'm quoting certain songs. I start off with my presentation with one of the folk songs that is popularly sung over here. चौदस का न्योता देवता मावस ने आयो सबेरी देवता जायो बेरी जी भूखा भूखा थे धाप्या धाप्या जायो जी खीर खांड का देवता भोजन पे आयो जी. These lines are sung by the women of Haryana to honor the Pitars. Pitars are the forefathers. Expresses gratitude and seek their blessings. The means to please them is food. Food, in a way, connects the present to the past, reminding that it has always been primary for survival. Referring to the basic human need, the first item listed is food, followed by clothing, and then shelter. It is beyond contestation that food, be it in any form, is essential to the very existence of every living entity. Seemingly ordinary, this essential thing connects all for the reason that everyone needs it. It is a means how one looks towards life, live it, and experience it. It has also been an integral part of man's social behavior, his social identity, and his social interactions. Considering this omnipresent essentiality of food, one is enthused to look into the presence in literature. In critical approaches to food in children's literature, Keeling and Pollard have put forth their argument that stations the position of food being fundamental to literature. To quote their words, if food is fundamental to life and a substance upon which civilizations and cultures have built themselves, then food is also fundamental to the imagination and imaginary arts. This statement opens the scope of aesthetic, literary, and socio-cultural approaches towards food. It is a language through which rituals, cultural symbols, and belief systems are shared, communicated, and established. The anthropologist and social theorist Strauss, in structural anthropology, acknowledges this language function of food that articulates the cultural systems and social structures. There have been evidences that that point at food persage, class, and privilege. Veblen's conspicuous consumption is an early example of it. An observation regarding function of food in determining social power, status, and social stratification have been put forth by Norbert Elias in Civilizing Process, Psychogenetic Investigations, and Bourdieu's Distinction, a social critique of the judgment of taste. Even Mary Douglas's Deciphering a Meal treats food as a code, the message of which is found in patterns of social relations being expressed. As a universally familiar material, the semiosis that food functions qualifies it as having an important role to perform in literature. It provides strong images when used in language, and culturally, it creates mental connotations. The abstract and intangible experiences, emotions, and references are concretized by the food metaphor, speaking for and representing social status, religion, family, relationships, gender, and all. Indigenous identities are created, expressed, and maintained through dietary choices. Say, for instance, in Haryana, the essential principle of society, culture, customs, and traditions have centered on dietary choices of milk and its byproduct. Until the advent of Green Revolution, with the canal water reaching the arid and semi-arid regions, the rural life depended primarily on animal husbandry for its survival. It is amply evident in some of the local proverbs like Jiske Kali, Uske Rosh Diwali. The Kali is referred to, when they speak of Kali, they're referring to the buffalo, right? Desam mein des Haryana jit doodh dahi ka khana. So whenever Haryana is referred to, always milk and curd, come along with it. The idiom, बूढ़ों की कही दूध और दही भाइयों का साथ और माता का हाथ. This particular idiom is typical to Haryanvi society and speaks volume about the importance that people of Haryana give not only to the relations but also to the food. There is a difference in how food signifies. When Barthes explains this difference in signification with the example of bread and pain de mai, signifying day-to-day life and party respectively, the word khichdi, which is rice and lentils cooked together. So this khichdi too has different connotations. As a nutritious light meal, which when offered to different people in different situations or times, this food signifies different meanings. If it connotes health and healing to the ill, strength and recovery to the weak, or a devotional offering, it also suggests staleness and misery. I'm presenting three different examples from three different folk songs of Haryana. The first one being Hum dhani ki khichdi ki saad khichdi hal manga do ji. Okay, so a new mother is asking for that khichdi. The second one, Sabte pehlam bande. Bande is the forest god. Bande dhokyo ji. So first of all, worship the forest god. Sawa ser ki jatan khichdi je. Using khichdi. And the third one, very interesting, कातक बड़ी अमावस आई दिन था खास दिवाली का आंखें के में आंसू आ गए देखा जब घर हाली का. When you see the house of a peasant, so on the special occasion of Diwali, what happens? सभी पड़ोसी बच्चियां खातर खील खिलौने लावे थे, दो बच्चे हाली के बैठे उनकी ओर लखावे थे, रात पूज की बची खिचड़ी, not the fresh one but the leftover खिचड़ी घोल सीत में खावे थे. Okay, so butter and khichdi that they were having. So let us just see how khichdi, as a food metaphor evolves over here. While the first song refers to khichdi as a part of celebration after childbirth and its nutritional property for the new mother, in the second it connotes pious offering to the forest god, and in the third it refers to the same in context of misery and reflects the pitiable condition of the peasant who, on the special day of Diwali, only have leftover khichdi and buttermilk as against the delicacies, that is kheel patase, that the neighbors are enjoying. What we eat defines us. Fresh khichdi with clarified butter or milk, or its religious function stands in sharp contrast to the leftover eaten with mere buttermilk. Also, khil khiloni and other delicacies that that the peasants' neighbors are enjoying are suggestive of their class and status, which the peasant is devoid of. Therefore, he cannot even, afford a fresh meal. Food in these songs point at different class structures and social status. As a socio-cultural signifier, food feeds memory. All the dimensions of an occasion and preparation, sharing and consumption of food travels through folk songs that rest deep in the memory and over the generations, link an individual to the past. Food thus performs a commemorative function too. To begin with, sweets, drinks, and other food items are first things offered to please and thank the gods and seek their blessings. All occasions begin with the invocation of gods, and the first song that women in Haryana sing to mark auspicious beginning to any occasion, especially marriage, begin with offering rituals like sweets and betel leaf to God. Panch patasa panna da beda le Ganesh ji pe jayo ji. So this song tells what the women need to take as they start off with the a particular function to offer to the gods. In a Sanji song, where when the Sanji goddess is asked what she desires, she tells what she wishes to eat. Laddu jimungi, peda jutungi. So she's talking of again sweets over here. So having been blessed with life, enabled with food, the same is offered to the gods and goddesses in gratitude. Conception and childbirth, a fundamentally female experience, has long been kept out of literary tradition, and when mentioned, the general tendency is to quickly pass over it. The reasons may be varied, the primary one being a lack of experience, since most of the literature and even popular folk literature come from the male domain. However, if we look at the folk songs of Haryanvi women, these women especially, have songs that are dedicated to the new mother and the child. A good number are pregnancy songs that voice the nuances of pregnancy. Through these songs, the women articulate their experiences, desires, and even criticize their male counterparts without inviting their rage. So pregnancy offers them an opportunity to lay their demands, to satiate their food cravings through these songs. There's a song called Ojna, which illustrates the whole journey of a woman's 9 months through food symbols. Uh, then we have another symbol. The milk symbol is also frequently found in these songs sung by these women. It not only symbolizes the motherhood and bond, but also honor and courage. So there is this event called Ghurchari prior to the departure of that Bharat, the procession. So when the son is ready to leave and lead the marriage procession, the mother uses the milk symbol to remind her son that she has nourished.
This is actually an integral part of their life. Why should you choose food as a topic?
Ma'am, would you like to say something? I think you were asking something. Yeah. So
sorry,
the mother
can continue.
So the mother uses the milk symbol to remind her son that she has nourished him with her own breast milk, and that on arrival of the wife, he should not forget her. There is another song in which the mother reminds her soldier son to honor her milk at the border when he goes to the border. जिस देश की कर देश की रक्षा चाल्या लाल मेरे, जिस दिन के लिए तने दूध पिलाया आज वो दिन लाडले आया कर दिखा कमाल. So she's trying to inspire her son and reminding him that she has nourished him for this particular day. The basis of human relationships is the ability to share experiences that nourish different emotions. So emotions get an appropriate vent in the form of songs, which also provide potency to the emotion expressed. So the pain of separation from the husband is expressed in the songs using, black lentil food symbol. Kyun ji koe kale te urad bikhir ke ud gaye pardes, that you've gone to a different land after sowing the lentil seeds. So the woman through this song reminds and calls her husband who has gone to the city for work. So after sowing black lentil seeds, he has left promising that he'll come back soon. However, the lentils are ready for harvest, and the woman named Maru, who's singing this particular song, comparing herself to the harvest ready lentils, tells that her beauty too is coming to an end. Through the food symbol, she's trying to explain to her husband that the land and wife have value only when man or the husband is around and taken care of. Expression of sexuality in a highly patriarchal setup like Haryana is a taboo. However, women have found a way to deal with this too through their songs. Owing to its cooling properties, lemon has been used as a medicine to treat nausea, seasickness, and even love sickness. So with its enchanting and attractive fresh scent, lemon is used by women to symbolize youthfulness, fertility, and physical maturity. This signifier expresses a young girl's desire to get married through a song. पीर बीरबल हो तन्ने के कहूं मैंने कहती ने लाज आवे निंबुआ तोड़न मैं गई. That she is shy, but then she is trying to explain when she has moved to a lemon orchard, how she realizes that she has grown up in it and she has the desire of getting married. So the lemons in the orchards make the girl perceive her youthfulness and stir in her a desire to marry. So metaphorically, it tries to communicate, the girl has tried to communicate what normally she cannot do in a society that controls sexuality. So I'm heading towards the conclusion now. Even though considered a very trivial and commonplace subject, because of its ubiquitous presence, the recent attention that food has attained by the literary critics also, has established its importance as a serious literary subject performing multitude of functions. The more it is explored, the more it uncovers and communicates the entire spectrum of human experience, power positions, and other social relations. Haryanvi women have creatively used food symbols in their songs to express their feelings. They have used the usual elements that surround them to give vent to their aspirations and desires. An analysis of the folk songs not only lay bare the symbols used by these women of Haryana, but also allows one to peep into the indigenous culture, traditions, and the value systems. Thank you so much. Thank you for a patient hearing. I'm done with my paper.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you for your stimulating speech, and it was a great presentation from you, ma'am. And from my side, I'm having a small question.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, like, out of all the significant symbols, why you have taken food as the symbol, and it clearly represents the growth of common literature, ma'am? Interest in Commonwealth literature.
Why did I take food as a symbol? This is what you want to ask?
Yes.
See, we exist because of food. And recently, I have been focusing on the folk songs of Haryana, and it's not just the from the end of women, but men folk also. So I have this little collection, and when I was reading these songs, there's something unique that came up, because women have been, bound into a different kind of a periphery, and how they have tried to voice themselves using very commonplace things. So they've used the food symbols, they've used, the dress to express what they want to say to the men folk. So how they're using this commonplace thing to say much more to the world that is not listening to them. So a commonplace thing, usual thing that, makes us that, is feeding our very existence, how important it is, not only to keep us living, but also for expression. So this is something that, attracted me.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for your presentation. And audience, you have any audience, you have any questions from your side? Okay, thank you. Then now we can we can move to the next presenter. We have a duo scholars. M. Antoinette Blassie, which is research scholar. So who is going to present her paper on the title "Lending Hands in Saving the Slipping World of the Steep," and eco-psychological criticism on flight behavior and strange as this wealth has been. So wow, it was a very very good topic, ma'am. And now you can start your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for this introduction. I am Antoinette Blassie, research scholar, and my co-author is Dr. Virginia Veena, Assistant Professor of English, Holy Cross College. And my paper is Lending Hands and Saving the Sleeping Worlds of the Streets. So I have used an eco-psychological criticism on the select novels, Flight Behavior and Strange as this weather has been. And these are written by Barbara Kingsolver and Anne Pancake respectively, both are American novelists. And first of all, I have brought the concept of ecology, that is the concept of eco-criticism has been a very recent ideology, we all know that, and that has grown up with the increase in harshness towards nature and its belongings. And new notions regarding ecology and nature are blooming in the current scenario again and again, only because to remind the people on the losses that are happening in nature. So this presentation brings into notice a new movement of eco-psychology that connects man's psyche with nature. So both are interconnected, so that man would realize the harm that he does to nature, and the harm that he does to nature would become less, and when nature is seen in a compassionate point of view. So this research analyzes the important characters in both the novels, especially the protagonists, Jalarovia in Flight Behavior and Lace in Strange as This Weather Has Been. So these are the two women characters who play a very significant role in protecting nature. And these people are attached towards nature in a very different ratio. So the relationship between them and nature is quite different from other people. And moreover, many people in these novels, both of the novels, they are seen to be attached towards nature, but this attachment, which are shown by these two women, have a different perspective. Their way of feeling for nature may be different, but the impact they create on nature is the same. So it arouses a feeling of guilt as a result in the readers, which is equal to saving the environment, as confirmed by the eco-psychologist. So a feeling of guilt is brought in here. So, but before jumping into the point on how the feeling of guilt saves the environment, I shall quickly take a look into the concept of eco-psychology. So, eco-psychology is a very recent term that is which is a derivated and updated version of eco-criticism, which deals with the subject of connecting the environment with man, thereby building a bond with him. So it is like renewing the relationship between man and nature, and also it is the reconnection between human beings and nature, and it promotes lifestyles that are in harmony with the natural environment. So the older form of psychology that has been proposed by many psychologists like Freud and Jung. So these theories, they suggest to look deeper inward a person, so into a person. But the concept of eco-psychology teaches us to look outward as well. That is the the surroundings, the places that surround us, the environment, and also the world that is waiting around us. So this eco-psychology is a particular view of looking outside, and it also brings the conscience of people into active. And human beings, that we do not harm ourselves consciously. If the reflex actions of ourselves, even if we touch a bowl of hot water, we react to it very in a fraction of seconds we react. So we do not harm ourselves consciously. And when this concept is applied to nature, if we see nature as one among ourselves, we do not uh, dare to hurt nature. That is the thing. And eco-psychologists say that mankind and nature are not two different components, but they are the one and same. If one harms nature, it means they are harming themselves. But instead, if we heal nature, nature heals them, and we also heal ourselves. So this is the simple concept of eco-psychology. And for instance, the leading character, Gelarobia in flight's behavior belongs to the category of caring towards nature. That is, if she wants to heal herself, she goes to nature, heals nature, takes care of nature, and does whatever she wishes to do in nature. And the strange turnaround that happens around her, that is the disappearance of butterflies, monarch butterflies in West Virginia. This incident, it hurts her a lot, and this and also the turnaround of the mountain is like a shock therapy to her. And Delarovia expresses her love for nature through her pain and shock when nature is in danger. So this is a way of bringing out the love for nature in her. And her feelings are not understood or being considered by her family members or others, as they lack the art of viewing nature with a point of view in love. So they did not view nature with love as Delarovia did. And coming to eco guilt, that's a concept called eco guilt. So, in strange as this weather has been, Lace and her daughter Band are the ones who feel emotionally attached towards nature, both in terms of eco guilt and eco therapy. So, guilt, as we know, is a common feeling that is accomplished when one recognizes that it is their mistake and finds a need of forgiveness. So, similarly, guilt towards the destruction of nature is also a kind of pity that is seen evidently and felt when one realizes that they're also a part of nature. They are hurting nature, hurting the Mother Earth. So this is the concept brought in terms of eco guilt. So when we automatically feel guilty when we do something that hurts nature, we tend to stop it abruptly. So this is the concept. An eco-psychologist called Terence O'Connor explains this. He says that more common are those who will admit to feeling a bit guilty about not doing anything. The equation here is doing nothing plus feeling guilty about it equals doing something. So what he says is, even though if you do nothing, but if you feel guilty of hurting the earth, it equals to doing something for the earth. So it is so far true that It sounds strange. And moreover, the character Lace and her mom used to spend most of their time in the woods. And the feeling of Lace, the feeling towards nature of Lace develops whenever she crosses the woods is deep and memorable. And Lace finds nature comfortable after the death of her mother. So she finds a kind of attachment towards nature. And she is the one who fights for the mountains and is not able to see the sufferings of Mother Earth directly. So the problem in the novel is that in order to extract wool from mountain tops, these mountains are being blasted off and the vegetation, forests, waterways, everything along the way are being destroyed. So she cannot take this. And Lace remains unprovoked until she comes to know that the sufferings of earth are succeeding. So at a point she bursts out. And she is grown up in a circumstance so close to nature, enjoying all its happiness. So suddenly when a turnabout happens, like when nature is being destroyed completely, she cannot take it and she fights for it, fights back. And the loss of nature here is a great drawback. In both the novels, the same thing happens, and the setting of both the novels are also in West Virginia. And since nature cannot be vanished completely from the psyche and memory of anyone, this issue is taken as a major thing, even for today. And in flight behavior, Delarovia, what she does is like similarly likely she also joins in an organization and she fights back to save nature. So to serve for the welfare of nature, she joins in an organization called National Science Foundation Grants and so on. And we can see that some um, yeah, this is the attachment of Lace and Delarovia towards nature. And we can see these kind of phrases being repeated by Delarovia in the novel Flight Behavior. So these phrases include, for some reason, I want to stop logging. So this is inbuilt in her psyche. So these words unconsciously come out of her psyche that she wants to prevent nature. She wants to do something from her side to protect nature. And they are gone. So they are gone in a sense, the butterflies are gone, so they are lifeless, everything. So she is concerned more about nature and to save the butterflies. So every time she says these words, and the readers get very well intended that this Delarovia and Lace are very much attached towards nature, and they have an eco psychological relationship towards nature. So seeing one's own pain. Okay, so the pain of nature as one's own. So this is a very needed thing today. So if you empathize towards nature, we can easily heal nature, as well as we will not tend to hurt nature furthermore. And the other thing is all the things these both protagonists wanted is to do something good for them. Delarovia wanted to do something good for the butterflies, and Lace wanted to do something good for her mountains where she resided. And we can see the harsh weather and climatic change in both the novels. That is also the very reason issue. And we can also see the mountains are being logged off. So logged off in a sense, logged off of vegetation and forests. And the older things that were seen in the ages of Lace and Delarovia, as well as of their parents, were not seen by their children. So for each generation, something from nature is being deprived of. So this is also a very serious thing that hurts the psyche of a person. So if you grow up in a very natural setup, and as you grow up, if you are deprived of so many things like trees, plants, and if your psyche is being reoccupied with buildings and all these things, it creates an instability within us. So automatically we do not try to concentrate more on everything that we do. So our psyche is being affected. And the only way to reorder all these things is to connect ourselves with nature. So that reminds us the reconnection of human beings with nature. So I have quoted this Freud's theory from Civilization and Sentence, and where Freud says that a man who loves says, I and you are one. So when a man is in love, he says that I and you are one. Two people are considered as a single individual. So see, when we see nature and man as one and the same, we do not tend to hurt nature. So we develop a kind of love for nature. So this is how I compared this eco-psychological point of view. And another thing is eco-psychologists repeatedly what they propose is propose the fact that there would be no survival of human species and life would be so bland and useless and most probably it is purposeless without the presence of nature. So to endure the world of nothingness, we are moving on. That is, if you keep ourselves outside of nature, we do not seek anything. Instead, we are lacking something day by day. And if we go beyond the conventions of nature, we would not serve a betterment to human life, but constantly creates a lack in our lives. The reason is that nature is connected with human beings from times that we are young. So as we see in the life of Lace, she is grown up in a very natural setup, and everything that hurts nature hurts herself. It hurts herself very personally. So the nature is attached to ourselves from a very young age, and technology and modernization, they are some recent intruders that has alienated ourselves from the physics, that is the outer world. Okay, and it brings, as a result, it brings a commotion in our mental setup, that is our psyche. These people, they long back to go for the older self and for a pleasant atmosphere at the end of the day. So whatever we think of in terms of technology or modernization, by the end of the day, we remember some things that are very attached to us in our nostalgic moments or something like that, or the nature that is very closely connected to us in our past. So these things gets reminded to us very often, and it also relaxes us. So that is important thing here. And and we know that our mind is a fraud and it needs to pour out its agony, pain, and stress. And the only thing where we can pour out, where we can cut out all these emotions are only from the elements of nature. So the destruction of nature can come to an end only when we people realize that the need of nature is very important, and we should realize and reconcile for ourselves that we should not destroy nature. We should always think of putting an end to all these distractions. So whenever we see the distraction, we need to come out of our boxes and we have to fight for it. That is it. Thank you.
Hello, may I ask a question, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Have you found any similarities in Indian literature, ma'am? That is this environmental guilt or environmental protection, all these things that you said. Of course, I do understand from other sources of work in English, but is there any particular Indian work, like in Tamil or some other South Indian or North Indian languages, where there has been some reference with the environment? I'm just asking.
Yeah. There are so many novels, particularly from Amitav Ghosh. We can take novels like Gun Island. So these novels speak of the current problems that are happening to nature, like dumping chemical waste into water, which is a very serious threat to aquatic organisms, as well as the climatic change. So Indian authors like Amitav Ghosh have been speaking frequently about these issues. So any issues can be spoken of. Like in these novels which I have taken for study, they are talking about the destruction of mountain tops as well as the extinction of a butterfly species. So likewise, in Indian literature, they are speaking of climatic change and particularly the increase of arsenic content in water. The level of arsenic increase in water. So these issues are being spoken of, as far as I know.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. From my side, I'm having you a question. Shall I ask you the question, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So the first question is, we have spoke about guilt to save our environment. Can you tell me how can the guilt can save our Indian environment?
Yeah, that was a nice question. So, guilt can save any environment. It may be the environment that belongs to the foreign countries or even in India. So, in India, if we see in the current scenario, we see so many ponds are being occupied by these political setups. And day to day life, if even to extend roads, they are occupying ponds. That is very unnecessary. And if you are in a position, if we and I and you are in a position to protect these kind of things, or in a level to stop all these kind of things, we can just stop it abruptly. But as commoners, we cannot go and see the world in a very first hand, but we can feel a sense of guilt within ourselves, like we are also part of nature. These people are destroying, but we are also one among these human beings who are destroying. So a guilt is automatically formed when we are very much concerned about nature, when we are environmentalists for ourselves. A feeling of guilt is being created in ourselves, like why we are destroying nature, why nature is being destroyed, because we are also part of nature. Nature is one among us. So if you are destroying nature, we are destroying ourselves, right? So this is the feeling of guilt. So when we feel guilty for destroying nature, we will do something against that. We will stop, or we will write some petitions to stop these roads being extended, these four-way roads and all these things. And also we will not in future or in the present, we will not tend to do those things, like the wrongs that are done by people, other people.
So do you mean to say that the humans should be more conscious about environmental protection, like we have read already in the Wordsworth's poem on a stolen boat ride, ma'am? Yes, we have to be more conscious about
Yes,
our protection.
yes, we have to be conscious. Yes, we have to be very conscious.
Yes, and thank you for your presentation, and congratulations for your PhD, and you a way lot to go for you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We can go with the next presenter. So now I would like to call upon Sonal Saini, a PhD scholar, CLL from North Cap University. Her title is The Long Silence, a feminist study of the movie Highway. And I would like to share it now, ma'am. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. The topic of my topic is The Long Silence, a feminist study of the movie Highway. So the Highway movie was released in 2014 February, directed by Imtiaz Ali and produced by Sajid Nadiawala. Highway begins with the wedding preparations of the Veera Tripathi, which is usually the happy endings of the most movies. But Veera, the daughter of a well-connected tycoon in New Delhi, is suffocated by her own house, and she convinces her fiancé Vinay to take her out on a drive in the night on the eve of her wedding. Despite his reluctance, as they drive through the clean, well-lit, and straight roads of the city, Vinay, he wants to turn back. But at that point of time, Veera insists, telling him that पहले ब्राइट लाइट से तो निकलते हैं, खुले में जाते हैं कहीं, हाईवे चले. At this point of time, she suggests him, and Vinay goes further. The city is not the space of phantasmagoric delights and modernizing ideals in the movie, but as Vinay is at pains to tell her a site for potential dangers. The road and highway in the Indian film post independence was a signifier of development and modernity, as it has been argued that in the films of the 1950s and 1960s, they represented the metonymic of the path to nationhood itself. Indeed, the road was often depicted as the space in which differently constituted identities could bump into each other and bring out an intermingling of uncommon fates. As it happens, they get caught in a heist which went wrong, and she is kidnapped by a gang of robbers, which was led by Mahabir Bhati. When they stopped at the petrol station, Vinay, where he looks on from the inside the car, helpless and terrified, while Veera was pinned to its bonnet and shouting at him for the help. The central symbolism of the film, where Veera will paradoxically find her freedom, she experiences the countrysides of the facets of the country that has presumably thought little or cared about with wonder. Instead of being punished for taking a risk in the nighttime city, she is instead set on a path towards a deeper understanding of the self and the constraints of the society. Vera basically she finds in a very short order that being held by a hostage of the a band of quasi radical bandits, it is actually less constricting than the upper class life to live with. Mahabir, the truck driver, who is a monolithic, humorless exterior, and before he knows it, he has taken with incongruous pleasantness and he begins to see her as a young woman rather than a symbol of hated plutocracy. The peak of the movie is very beautiful, which has not been mentioned anywhere. There is a song by A.R. Rahman, Pataka Gudi, where it is textually coincides perfectly with Veera's first realization of her complete freedom from her stultifying home life. Highway depicts the Veera's quest for freedom is neither undermined nor it is end in the inevitable return to the familial fold or the promise of marriage. Veera, reprimanded by her fiancé for simply stepping out of a car at a petrol station, metamorphoses into a free spirit post abduction. This is depicted through a scene, through different scenes in the movie, as she sticks her neck out of the truck, climbs the trees by the highways, washes her hair from the roadside hydrant, and spokes up to a top boulder. Indeed, the camera has tracked both the tight shots registered that abandoned physicality of Veera, signifying an almost spiritual freedom. One of the most important scenes in the highway is one where the themes of sexual abuse and child abuse are highlighted through Veera's narration of events that transpired in her childhood. As she dines with Mahabir, she discusses how her uncle would rape her 9-year-old self. Bhatt shows incredible skill at this point, making the narration all too believable. The way she describes her past in great details, unable to hold back her tears, she is inarguably heart-wrenching. Moreover, she highlights her own mother silences her, telling her, "Shh, kisi ko batana mat." Veera mentions this to Mahavir with a look of pain and betrayal on her face. In that moment, we are a part of that conversation Veera has with her mother. We feel the rage bubbling inside ourselves at the silencing of a 9-year-old. We are made to feel the Veera's pain. Through the highly necessary and remarkable impactful scene, Imtiaz Ali gives us face to sexual assault and child abuse. It is not just a story we hear. We are made to sit through this uncomfortable narration. We are made to feel uneasy. Moreover, we are made to realize that this is the face of reality in our society as well. Veera's story is not uncommon. It is merely one that is brushed under the carpet, too taboo to discuss in the open. It emphasizes how sexual abuse sees no caste, creed, social stature, or kinship. Predators, predators roam free among us. Some of them have the same blood running through their veins as we do. So, further, Mahabir and Veera's relationship takes a turn. He softens up to her to the point where he eventually sets her free. However, she returns to him. She found a life away from the suffocation of societal pressures, away from being silenced, to the point of repression. They travel together, eventually finding her dream home in the mountains. But there's a turn when the search parties catch up with them, retrieving Veera and fatally injuring Mahabir in the process. Alongside her family, keeping her medicated, contained with her room, pushed Veera to her breaking point. Her family, much like before, pretended like nothing happened. But it did. A lot happened. A new Veera had been born, one that refuses to hold back. The absolute rise in the dramatic action is through Veera's final explosion, one where she confronts her rapist at a gathering and puts her foot down. Not only it is a movie that touches upon the issues that are almost never talked about, it presents them in a way that tears at pieces of our hearts. Imtiaz Ali achieves something that is incredibly different to carry out through a film. He manages to instill and evoke empathy in the hearts of the audience. Movies in Bollywood are not only confined to having fictitious story plots, romances, and happy endings, but are more about the harsh realities of life. From highlighting the problems of the open defecation to female sanitation to the importance of consent in a relationship, filmmakers have tried their best to pick up the issues that affect us directly or indirectly. What really rankles that for a young girl, the escape from abuse in her ivory tower is through another kind of captivity, which she begins to love, at least thinking that yes, at least the captor is honest to her. Vera's revelation that she was at the mercy of an abuser in her childhood comes about nowhere. She getting over a peak at being misused, at Mahabir entitled treatment of her abruptly morphing from mortal fear to puppy-eyed willingness. Even she is surprised at her own transformation. Coming to the records, according to the NCRB data, 32,608 cases were reported in 2017, while 39,827 cases were reported in 2018 under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. 109 children were sexually abused every day in India in 2018, according to the data by National Crime Record Bureau, which showed a 22% jump in such cases from the 2018. POCSO Act 2012 is a comprehensive law to provide the protection of children from offences of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and pornography. It requires special treatment of cases related to child sexual abuse, such as setting up of special courts, special prosecutors, and support persons for child victims. As many as 21,605 child rapes were recorded in 2018, which included 21,401 rapes of girls and 200 of boys, the data which showed. The report also showed that the cases of sexual harassment in the shelter homes against women and children reportedly increased by 30%, from 544 cases reported in 2017 to 707 cases in 2018. Overall, crimes against children has increased steeply over 6 times in the decade over 2000 to 2018, from 22,500 cases recorded in 2008 to 1,41,764 cases in 2018. According to the NCRB data from 2008 and 2018, at last, strengthening the community level child protection system is also a key to prevention. While there is growing evidence of the precarious lives that children in India are leading, it is essential that this evidence is used to effectively inform policy and program initiatives. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. And from my side, I'm having you a question. Shall I ask you a question, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So, from your side, you say that you're stating that the movie actually it is already uncomfortable in certain scenes.
Yes,
but why does it always have to be the portrayal of the pains of women as the study of feminism? We all know that it's clearly this movie depicts every woman's internal travel towards our freedom, and it is one of the best feminist films all over the time. And can you tell me why always we are talking about the pains of women as the study of feminism? It's just my personal question.
Why we are talking? Because women have suffered. Women have been treated as a category. Women come in the category of weak as compared to men. We are always been treated like we are not superior in any of the things. So it's the mentality which has came from long back, from the start of the day, that women have to go from these rough phases of their life, that they are supposed to, that yes, they are just supposed to have these crimes, rapes, everything from where they can be suppressed.
Okay.
It is the thing which has been coming back biologically, then it was posed mentally.
Okay, I understood. And I agree too, ma'am. And isn't there any other movie or novel that rather explains the glory of womanhood than always talking about the bad things happening to the women? Means issues always happening for us, for women. Is there any
Hmm.
other movie or novel,
Sorry, can
ma'am,
you
you are
please repeat the
suggesting for
question?
us? No, ma'am. Is there any other movie or
Sorry,
a
may I ask,
novel
ma'am?
In
that,
related to the child.
Sorry, may I ask,
yeah,
ma'am? Actually, I had the same doubt. Actually, whenever they talk about feminism, they always talk about the male domination. But truly, ma'am, in the modern days world, there is a powerful weapon in every person's home that is called as a broomstick in the hands of a wife. So I don't consider what she's saying. Of course, however, what she says is true. But my question is there any other novel that glorifies the success of a woman rather than telling her that she is overcoming the pain and the domination of a male society? Because every time when somebody talks about feminism, I always get the same question, that why should they always talk about the pain even in the modern days, because women are on par, not just on par, they are on top of everything. They're excelled, they have gone to the top. So do you think this feminism is still a burning question in the modern world? Perhaps they should have some support for the men's society.
I totally agree to you, sir. Yes, there should be a support to the men's society. I am not denying this fact. But it's just that nobody wants to talk about it, maybe because the feminism is so much, in fact, in this modern times also, it is so much talked about, it is so much felt that no one wants to talk about it. And that is why it is the most less researched area.
Uh, with the permission of the chair, can I just come up with a few?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Since we're talking
Yes,
about feminism, and the two questions
feminism.
came in, as in why only women, being oppressed, and men being seen as a villain. Very interestingly, if one would want to read Cracking India, Bapsi Sidhwa's Cracking India. It is about partition and what all happened. So if you read it from a different perspective, it is not just about what women go through, but how women come up, they emancipate, they come together, and they try to set on things right. So it is coming out and being independent, how to multiply. So the Aya comes up as a very good example if you would want to study strong women even in that constricted environment. And then you have another work by Bapsi Sidhwa, that's American Brat. Okay, so again, moving beyond it. And very interesting thing that you would see in Bapsi Sidhwa's novels is that she is not just pointing at men. She is trying to come up with the aspect that much of the oppression of the women is due to some other dominant woman in the house or the locality. So that is the proxy power that has been given to them. So it is important to analyze that, and probably why everybody is talking about feminism, in order to identify a space for yourself. That realization is important, and probably that is the reason everybody is talking about operation and who does it. So I think I make home the point that it's not just
Yes, ma'am.
men folk, because we see men coming up as a support also. Like in the movie Highway itself, that driver is coming up with for that lady so that she can speak up, he gives her that independence. Okay, so
Yes.
men come up as a support. We are not individuals, we cannot live in isolation, so we have to move together, right? So I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
I made the point. Thank you for your time, ma'am.
Yes, we always demanding the equality, and we always get the equality from. I hope we have to be get the equality from the men. And thank you for the presentation, ma'am, and well presented paper. And we will go to the next presenter, Jayolin Sheril, and the topic is the power of mother's love with reference to J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series. And you can start to present your paper, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon. The title of my paper is The Power of Mother's Love with reference to J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series. And J.K. Rowling is known as Joanne Rowling. She is a British author and a philanthropist. She is known for her Harry Potter series. Mother's love has the power to mold a child's life is the major theme I have chosen for this paper. Lily Potter is the protagonist's mother. She gave her life to save her son from a grave danger. And Molly Weasley is Harry Potter's friend's mother, and she has unofficially adopted Harry after he came into her house. And Narcissa is Draco Malfoy's mother, and she is yet another mother character who lied to the Dark Lord, who is known to be the greatest villain of that series. And there are few mother characters in the novels which I have to focus on, which I try to focus on. The first mother character is Petunia. She is the mother of Dudley, and she's the sister of Lily and aunt of Harry. And she has spoiled Dudley with excess love. They both, Harry and Dudley, live in the same house, but Petunia shows a love only to Dudley, and she never even cares about Harry, or she even doesn't bother to give him food and proper clothing, etc. She hated Harry's mere existence, and when her son harms Harry, she never tries to stop him or protect him from the bullying. Because Harry doesn't have a mother, and he was abandoned in her doorstep, she has some hatred towards him. Like she feels as if it is an added responsibility to take care of him, and she doesn't seem to care about him anymore. And he treated Harry as an orphan, like the worn out clothes were given to him, and the leftover food will only be given to him. He will not be taken out anywhere else. Like he was treated very bad by his aunt. She was supposed to be a mother character in the life of Harry, but she failed to be that mother character. And Molly Weasley. Molly Weasley is Ron's mother. She has seven children, including Ron. She's fierce, protective, and loving. She wanted her children to grow in a disciplinary setting, and she is strict. Yet she is loving. She doesn't liberally let them out. Let them out. She is strict, but also she is loving, and she has unofficially adopted Harry as her son. When Harry became friends with Ron, Ron told his mother about Harry and what has happened to the whole. Of course, the whole wizarding world knows what happened to Lily Potter and James Potter. Molly felt very bad about Harry, and she didn't want him to grow up like an orphan. So she showed her complete love towards him. Harry experienced her mother's love through her. That was the first experience the love he experienced, mother's love he experienced first was from Molly Weasley. And she sent Harry his first ever Christmas present. She sent him the Christmas jumpers. She used to stitch jumpers for her seven children, and she didn't want to leave Harry out of it. So she stitched a jumper for him and sent it to him. It was his first ever Christmas present in his life. And she also invited Harry to spend his summer holidays in her house. She felt that maybe Harry doesn't feel comfortable in his house, as she knows that her aunt and uncle are not treating him well. So she offered him to stay in her house. And she is a proof that mother's love can be non-biological. And Merope Gaunt. Merope Gaunt is the mother of Voldemort, and she was abused by her family and abandoned by her husband. And her family doesn't like her, and her husband also didn't treat her well. Because he is from a non-magical group. he doesn't want her to do magical things, and he started hating her, and she died after Voldemort's birth. Voldemort didn't get the love. Voldemort, being born as an orphan in an orphanage, he didn't receive motherly love at all. Even in when he came to Hogwarts, he didn't get that motherly affection from anyone. He didn't have any friends. He didn't have no one to share his thoughts to. So he kind of started. He kind of lived a secluded life, and he kind of get isolated him from everyone, and he didn't get the motherly love from anyone. And being abandoned in an orphanage took away the mother's love he has to experience. He didn't get the motherly love at all from anyone throughout his life, and so he that might be an added chance for him to grow as a villain. And Narcissa Malfoy, she's the mother of Malfoy. She's cold and rude to others. She seems to be a kind of rude woman character in the novel, but she is very loving to her son. But she's not like Petunia, like spoiling her son with all the love, but she is loving towards her son. She's very much similar to Lily. They both wanted to save their son's life no matter what life throws at them. She made like two things. She made an unbreakable vow with Severus Snape to save her son, and she lied to Dark Lord Voldemort, that Harry had died in the battlefield. She was supposed to check whether Harry have a heartbeat, and when she checked, she knew that Harry is alive. But she asked where is Draco, and he said he is in the castle. So he knows if Harry is still alive, Voldemort will not end the battle, and her son will eventually die. So she says that Harry had died, and all she cared was her son's safety. She knew if Voldemort knew that she is lying, he is going to kill her at the same second. So even at the cost of risking her life, she wanted her to save her son. And the final mother character is Lily Potter. She is the mother of Harry Potter. She literally gave her life to save Harry Potter. She created the sacrificial protection to save Harry. This protection is a charm. It's an ancient and powerful and long-lasting charm. Once it was casted upon a character, it will last for their life. uh, this charm works when even a character is given a chance to escape death, and they chose to give their lives to save someone else. Then this charm works on that other person, and it will last throughout their life as a protective shield. Her presence never left Harry. Whenever Harry has something to go, something in his mind in which he needs clarity, this thought of her mother, her father, her family came to his mind, and he never really felt that presence leave him. She served as Harry's guardian angel. She was there as a protective force, as she has casted the sacrificial charm on him. She was there as a guardian angel guarding him. Mother's love. Voldemort has transformed into a villain because of lack of mother's love and broken childhood. He has seen so much in his childhood, like he was left in an orphanage. He doesn't have anyone. He didn't have friends. He was treated as someone very bad and a naughty child. He was always thrown away from anyone else. So this led him to seek power. He felt that if I had power, if I have control over death, then I would be successful. Then I would have control over life. This made him a villain. But Harry had Molly as a mother growing up. Uh, for up to 10 years, he didn't have any kind of motherly love in his life. But after Molly came into his life kind of changed. He knows that her love is there for him. Even among all the seven children, they also know that her mother treats Harry as her own child. Mother's love is so important in the emotional and psychological growth of a child. And some recent scientific studies have proved that a mother's love plays a major role in the behavioral development of a child. Every child deserves mother's love. No child should be left out of mother's love, in my opinion. If lacked mother's love in their childhood, the children should focus on showing the love they lacked in their life to their children. They have to make sure that my child should get the love that I lacked in my childhood. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the presentation. And from my side, I want to say one thing.
Yes,
And everyone will be agreeing with her presentation, because mother's love is always became a very huge impact on J.K. Rowling's novel, as well as not only J.K. Rowling novel, in all our life, because we are all indebted to our mothers. And any questions from the audience?